Okay, day 3 of factoring, the last day of reviewing of factoring, and we are going to talk about the special formulas for these. So these would be really good for you to memorize because you're going to be using them in your math career. Definitely on your test you're going to need to know them, but even just memorizing them forever because they will come in handy, especially when you get to higher level math. So difference of squares is the first one we're going to talk about. So if you have a perfect square minus another perfect square, you take the square root of each. So like this, the square, see how it's a and not a squared, excuse me. This is a. You do a plus b and a minus b. The most common mistake people make is they forget to take the square root. Don't do that. So, first thing I like to do whenever I'm doing these is identify the A term and the B term. I found that really helps, and how you figure that out is take the square root. And remember, they have to be perfect squares in order to do this, and it has to be binomial. And these are both perfect squares and it's a binomial. So the A, what's the square root of x squared? Well, that's just x. And the b, the square root of 25, it's not the square root of negative 25. Don't let that negative throw you off. It has to be a minus sign right there. So just think of 25. What's the square root of 25? Well, that's 5. So then this will be, it'll be x plus 5 times x minus 5. That's it. Nothing too crazy. Okay, this next one. Are they perfect squares? Yes. The a term on this one, the square root of 16n squared would be 4n. And the b term on this is just 1. So this is like 4n plus 1 times 4n minus 1. And if you wanted to check it and you wanted to double or distribute, so let's just check. 4n times 4n is 4n squared. 4n times negative 1 is negative 4n. Positive 1 times 4n is positive 4n. And 1 times negative 1 would be negative 1. As you notice, the terms in the middle cancel and you have 4... Oh, I'm sorry, I messed up. That should have been 16n. My bad. Because 4n times 4n is 16n squared. So 16n squared minus 1. Yes, that's the original one we got. So check. It works. Okay, this one. The a terms. So think 25v to the 4th. That would be 5v squared. If you needed to double check it and say 5v squared times 5v squared. Yes, that would be 25v to the 4th. So if you need to do that step, no shame in that. Do what you need to do. Sometimes they can get a little tricky. And then your b term in this would be 4w. So this would be like 5v squared plus 4w times 5v squared minus 4w. And so it doesn't matter if the plus side binomial comes first or the minus sign one. Doesn't matter. The order doesn't matter. But make sure you keep them in the right order. I guess the first one, on this one doesn't matter because it's a plus sign. You can switch the order. But the order does matter for this one because there is a minus sign. So always put the A one first. Okay, the last one of these. The A term would be 8x. And the B term would be 3y squared. So this is going to be 8x plus 3y squared times 8x minus 3y squared. Okay, now this one is a little funky, and it would not be a bad idea to screenshot this because I'm sure you're going to be referencing this with your homework. So now we're going to have perfect cubes, and remember cubes are something to the 3rd power. You have to take the cube root. So sometimes when I'm doing this, I like to list a few of the first perfect cubes. So 1 is going to be 1. 2 to the 3rd power is going to be 8. 3 will be 27. 4 is 64. 5 is 125. 6 is 216. And I believe 7 is 343 if I remember right. I don't think we need that one. But I just like to list them just so I can remember and I don't have to keep thinking, oh, what is that one and making a mistake. So if you want to do that, feel free. Otherwise, you can use your calculator every time. I don't care, but that's just one trick I use. Okay, so whenever you're doing this, you're looking, there's two different ones, which they're very similar. If there's a plus sign in between, you're going to use the first one. If there's a minus sign, you're going to use the second one. Okay, so factor completely. There's a plus sign, so we're using the first one. So let's figure out what our a term should be. A on this one is going to be the cube root of 125, so it'll be 5. And our b term is going to be x. All right, let's do this. So we're going to have, start over here. So this will be 5 plus x. Okay, and then it'll be 5 squared minus, and I'm just going to write it all out, show my work, and then clean it up the second time. If you want to try to skip steps, you can, but if you make mistakes, that's on you. So I'm going to write it out. So times 5 times x plus x to the second power. So let's clean this up. It'll have 5 plus x times 25 minus 5x plus x squared. There you go. You just factored your first perfect cube binomial. Okay, so this next one also has a plus sign, so we're going to use it. Let's identify the a and b. Well, hold on. Those are not perfect cubes. What do we do? Let's think about it. Well, if you divided this one in half, you would get 16, so that won't work. If you divided it by 4, you would get 8, so let's see what happens there. So say we're going to factor out a 4, and this becomes 8x cubed plus, that would be what, 27? Oh, looky there, it worked. So now we have two perfect cubes, and that 4 is just going to float out front. Not a big deal. Just don't forget about it. So your a term now is going to be 2x, and your b term is going to be 3. So let's go ahead and do this. And remember, we have that 4 floating out there. So since it's a positive in between, we're going to use the first one. So we're going to have a plus b, so 2x plus 3. Times my a squared. Now I'm going to write it like this because some people just want to slap a squared on there and they don't distribute it to both of them. But do what you're going to do. But I would highly suggest doing it like this. And we have a minus sign. Our a term, 2x, times our b term, plus our b term, since it's only positive 3, we'll just write 3 squared. All right, let's clean it up. So we still have 4 times 2x plus 3 times 2x squared. So what's 2x times 2x? 4x minus 2x times 3 would be 6. Oh, I forgot the squared. 6x plus 9. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Looks like these are perfect cubes. So our a term is going to be 3, and our b term, what would that be? 4x. And now since there's a subtraction sign in between them, we're going to be using the second, the second formula, which really there's similar in formulas. You just kind of know where to put the positive and negative signs. So this would be a minus b, so 3 minus 4x, and then this would be 3 squared plus now 3 times 4x plus 4x squared. So let's clean it up. 3 minus 4x times 9 plus 12x plus 16x squared. and you're done. Okay, this next one, 250 minus 432u to the third. If you notice, these are not perfect cubes. What do? Well, 250 looks like it can go to 125 real fast if you just divide it by 2, so let's try that. So this would be 125 minus, what would that be, 216? Hey, looky there, that's a perfect square too. U to the third. So our A for this one will be 5, and our B will be 6u. So we're not going to forget that 2 out there. And this is a subtraction one, so we're using the second one. So it would be A minus B, so 5 minus 6u times 5 squared plus 5 times 6u plus 6u squared. Close that last parenthesis. Okay, again, we're not going to forget about that 2, but we're going to clean it up. So that would be 25 plus 30u plus 36u squared. And that is all I have for factoring.